Hey guys and gals, welcome back to another Gemini Scale Model Works video. This is not going to be a good video. I have to put one of my group builds on hold for now. Why? In a minute I will show you, I will bring you down to the bench and I will show you all the issues I've been having with this particular model. Anyhow, the model is this guy. The Peterbilt Wrecker. I just had a whole bunch of problems with this thing. It has taken me a lot longer to get the problem sorted out. I don't know if it was me or if the instructions, I know the instructions weren't very well written. Proof of pudding was when I was doing the brakes. They had no explanation on how those brakes had to go together. They just said put part A into part B and put it on part C and you're done. Well, that didn't work out. I had to watch multitudes of videos to figure out what was going on with that. Let me get you down to the bench, show you my latest accident and the reason why I am going to put this model on hold for now. It will not be done by the deadline, which I had mentioned in one of my other videos was unlimited time. That's not true. This model needs to get done by June 10th. And there's no way that I can do that, especially because one of the things I'm going to show you is more repainting, and that alone, the repainting and the priming and the sanding and all that's going to take at least 4 or 5 days. So let me show you all the issues I was having with this, and we'll see where it goes. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Okay guys, before we even get started on the issues I was having with this model, I want to apologize to Jeff from Jeff's Model Garage. Jeff, I am sorry that this is not going to be finished in time. I will finish it at some point, but right now it has frustrated me to a point where I have to take a break. So with that being said, let's start out with this fuel tank was having issues with glue, and a lot of the issues I was having with this model pertain to glue. Now I am a stickler for making sure that I do not put glue on top of paint, and I have stressed that so many times on my Model Railroad channel when I would do a scratch build that I would not paint anything until it was glued together. And that's the same principle I took on all of my models that I do on this channel. So I finally got this to work. I used some, let's see, let me get some of this out of here. I used this black CA, and it did kind of work, but it did fall off again. Finally, I sanded everything down, got it to work. Okay, that's number one. Issue number two was with all the brake cylinders that they said just put this together here, here, and here, and then put it in there, and everything is good to go. That did not work. So I had to, after countless hours of trying to figure out how this is going to work, I finally decided, you know what, I'm just going to mount them on a differential, which is probably not unprototypical. The next issue I have is, I don't know if you guys are going to see this. I guess I can lay it down there. This is the exhaust. Okay, look at the angle it's on, first of all. Number two, it's right up against the chassis. Number three, it doesn't hardly even fit in here. So when I go to put this piece on, which goes this way, goes to the exhaust stacks, this is hitting the drive shaft. So this has to go, be jacked over that way. It's not going to go that way because it's already hitting the transmission. It can't go any lower because it's right here. So I mean, that's another issue. I got to try and figure out why is it not working. The drive shaft can only go one way. This center support piece can only go in here one way. So I know that all of this is correct. So all right. Then I had the issue. Well, let me show you this here because this was going to be my next video I was going to do for you guys. I did work on the working end of the truck. I installed the lights and kind of hooked this up. Another issue was I lost the hook for this. I don't know where that went. I installed the light bar and stuff like that. While I'm working on this thing unglues itself. I said, okay. So I sanded it down, glued it again. When I glued it again, it moved when I wasn't looking, and now it's got this horrendous piece sticking up over here. How am I going to fix that? So, I'm really sad about this because I thought I was doing a good job with all the brake lines and this and that and the other thing. The engine came out really pretty. It's all nice and painted up, nice and pretty. So, the cab is all ready to go. It's all nice and painted. I had not put any wax or compound on this yet, but I might not even do that because it's got a pretty good gloss to it. Now, the straw that broke the camel's back. Here's the hood, and I was pretty proud of when I got this together because it actually works. And all I have to do now is to glue the hood on there. Okay, so as I am working on the hood, I had it all masked up because I had to paint the inside, and I know I didn't do a very good job on removing those marks in there. But as I was working on it, the fender fell off. And I know for a fact that when I glued this on, it was all clean, all sanded down right here after I painted it. I had put masking, liquid masking, in the groove where it goes. So I tried to be an idiot and tried to put this back in there. And with my toothpick, I decided that when this was sitting on, this is not the right side, I don't think. It might be. Yeah, when I was putting this in there, I took my toothpick and I went along the seam right here, and I got glue all over the body. So now I had to sand this all down, and I'm going to have to mask everything off again, and then sand this down, get it all primed up, and get it all painted again, and then mount these guys. Now these guys, because of my stupidity, they got marked up as well. So I have to sand these down, and hopefully a wet sand will take care of that. But if not, I have to redo these also. So, with all that being said, with all the frustration I've been having with this model kit, I'm going to put it on the back burner for now, and I'm going to move on to something else. Good morning, everyone. My coffee, my third mug of coffee. Today is June 3rd. And it is just about 6 a.m. in the morning. And when I woke up this morning, I said to myself, I am not going to let a plastic model beat me. So, with that being said, I am going to try and fix all the faults I found on this model and get it done by the deadline of June 10th. So, let's see if I can do this. I don't want to be a quitter. I'm not going to let a piece of plastic beat me. So, with all that being said, I'm going to have my coffee, and we're going to get down to the bench, and we're going to do what we got to do. See you in a bit. Okay, boys and girls, we are now down at the bench. Turn my microphone down a little bit. Think that's better? I think so. Alright, anyhow, I'm going to have some sort of plan of attack to fix all these problems on this vehicle so I can get it done. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the hood and the fenders to make sure that I can clean up the fenders first. I'm going to clean out the grooves that the fenders, these guys here, will sit in. I'll clean off all of this in here. Make sure it's nice and clean down to the plastic, and after I clean these up, this will get stripped, entirely stripped, the entire hood, and I'll repaint the entire hood. I will use liquid masking inside the groove here, and if these need to get painted, I'll just paint it and then sand it down after this. As far as the exhaust, that I showed you guys, that's all in there crooked like that, hitting the transmission and so on and so forth. I'm going to see if I can loosen up the transmission and push it that way to try and get this a little bit straighter and hopefully get the exhaust to work. So that is my plan of attack for the first biggest faults I have on this vehicle. So with all that said, I'll be back in a little bit. Alright guys, we're going to start by cleaning up the grooves that these fenders need to sit in. And I'm going to use various tools. I got this sanding device right here. I'll be using my knife to kind of scrape some of the excess glue that's in there. And then I also have this little round file. It's got a really nice tip on it that I can go ahead in there and clean it up. So, that being said, let's start with this guy. He is the coarsest that I have. And I'll just take him and just kind of run him in that groove. And if this doesn't get it all cleaned up, I'll take my knife and I'll go in there and I'll scrape some of that out of there. The knife does a real nice job, providing you stay in the groove. But I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to strip this entire thing. So let's take a look at that groove. Now it looks really gigantic as to what it was when it first started out. And it might be. But as long as the fender fits in there and it looks right, I'll be okay. And there is right in my fenders for this. Let's just see how it fits in the groove. That feels pretty good. That actually feels pretty good. Yeah, like right there. Alright. Okay, so that's one side. I'll do the exact same on this side. And then we'll go ahead and strip this down. And then we'll start working on this guy. Be back. Okay, boys and girls. As you can see, I now have a white hood. Excuse me. The time right now is a couple of minutes to 8 o'clock on the same day, June 3rd. So that took me quite a bit. And my method of removing paint or stripping a model, as I used to do on my Model Railroad channel when we had to strip a boxcar or something like that, I would use alcohol. And this is 99% isopropyl alcohol. Took me an hour and a half, but I did clean the inside up also, and I did sand down those what do you guys call those, sink marks? I think that's what you call them. I'm still new to the hobby, so I don't know all the nomenclature, but I think I did a little bit better on those. And I'll tell you what, this paint was pretty tough coming off. This is MCW paint. It was pretty tough coming off of here. It took a lot of scrubbing. I did it with an old toothbrush. Anyhow, the next part of this is going to be, let's mask off this groove and this groove, and then we can get this ready for prime again. And while that's doing that, I'm going to try and do a little wet sanding on these guys and see if I can get them to get a little bit cleaner. I think I can, but we'll see about that. Alright, so with that being said, I'm going to use this liquid mask. This is Vallejo. It seems to work pretty good. I've been using it all along. Just going to put a little bit in this cup right here. And take it light. Oops, no light. You gotta get it off the surface, because if it's covered, it won't get painted. With that, you guys can see that there's either too much light here or too little light. Yeah, you can see it right there. I'll do the same to the other side, and we'll let it set up, and then we'll set up the paint, get it ready for paint. Now this masking will not come off until everything is painted. And when I say everything, I mean the color. Alright. Oops. And then we just wipe across like that. Alright, so this guy is ready to get some primer. We'll do that here in a few minutes. Alright. Now I've been looking at this guy to see how I can move that exhaust over. And I gotta see if I can move the transmission this way. And it might hit this tank right here, but I might be able to sand this tank down enough to pull that over and get that exhaust straight so I can get the chrome exhaust stacks installed. So that's going to be my next project. It looks like, from what I'm looking at down there where the transmission mounts to the chassis, it looks like I can go that way quite a bit. Probably a 1/2 millimeter or so, and that's probably all I need to get that pipe straight. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and I'll bring you back when that is complete. Okay guys, what I did so far with this is I loosened up the transmission mounts and I pushed the transmission as far over as it would go, and that's right up against this tank right here. I have to move these lines up a little bit so you can actually see that, and I'll probably glue those on top of there. But yeah, you can see like it's right up against it, but that gives me enough room to get this guy in here. I can find the hole and get him hooked up the way he needs to get hooked up. And I know you guys are not going to see this, but when he's all hooked up, he's going to be perfectly straight with the rails and perfectly awesome to put my cross piece on there to put eventually put my stacks on there. Let me see if I can get this a little bit better. Yeah, like right there. So that seemed to fix that problem. So now I'm just going to repaint this piece, and let's see if I can get you. I'm going to repaint this guy and this guy. I'm going to paint them to a steel color, like maybe a stainless steel color, as well as the stacks. As you can see, I did clean them up a little bit, rough them up a little bit so they will accept some paint. What else? And I'm still going to work on these. You can see that there's still gloss in there, but you can see some of those scuff marks in there. I want to see if I can get rid of those. Anyhow, the next step would be to really work over to the spray booth and get this guy primed up, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned and we will be right back.